welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. I'm so glad that you stopped by today. You are meeting me in my sunroom because it is time to start gearing up and planning for my fall garden. And I thought I'd take you along with me. So I keep my seeds out here. You saw where I was kind of just putting some stuff up. And for the most part, it's pretty decent out here because remember we spent a day trying to organize from the seed starting phase and then cleaning it up after we started all of our summer seeds. So for the most part, it's pretty good. The only stuff that was out is stuff that I had been going through. But I want to talk to you about getting ready for my fall garden. I want to kind of take you through my process of how I plan, how I'm planning my fall garden. But really, this is how I plan each and every season in terms of making sure y'all know three things: that I'm intentional, that I'm organized, and that I'm efficient. And so a lot of people struggle sometimes with their gardens because they're not being intentional and they're not planning ahead of time. Now, for me, because I have quite a bit of space, it's important that I plan or I'm going to have a lot of oopsies, right? And again, you can't avoid all the oopsies, but I try as much as possible to be intentional about where stuff is going. And now, I know many of you are going to be having a fall garden. I know that some of you are not going to have a fall garden. Some people are like, hey, the summer wears me out. I just need to take a break. I get it. I understand. But if you're going to be doing a fall garden, put it down in the comments below and let me know. And I know that some of you are doing a fall garden because you came to my fall gardening workshop. It was amazing. If you still need help with your fall garden and you missed the live workshop that I did on how to plan an abundant fall garden, you can get the replay and also you can get the workbook. So I designed a 50-page workbook that is chock full of resources, charts, your zone information, all the crops that you can grow in the fall, all the herbs, all the flowers. I even put in there frost tolerances by, degrees, like what temperatures can this plant stand, like all of it's in there. Anything that you could possibly want is in that guide. It comes with the replay and the workbook, and you can go to our website. The link is below. Just go to our website and you can purchase the replay and the workbook if you didn't make the class and you need help with fall garden planning. Okay? So for those of you that are doing fall gardens, I would love to know where you are. If you're doing one, have you already started? So this week I am starting my seeds. And I know that in February and March and April, I did a whole seed starting series, and I will plan to do that again for the summer season. I'm not doing it for the fall, and here's the reason why. Like, I will take you on my journey of when I'm starting seeds and what I'm doing. It will not be as detailed and in depth week by week. And the reason is because I am growing in a high tunnel, right? And I don't want to do a series and confuse anybody about, hey, this is when you should start this is when you should start that, because some of my timing is going to be off because I'm not gardening outside, if that makes sense. So because I have a high tunnel, it gives me extra time and an extra window. I can grow all throughout the fall, the winter, the whole 9 yards. So I am not as pressed to get my stuff in the ground right here today and have it before the first frost hits, if that makes sense. I will still take you on the journey, but just know that for the fall, I'm gardening strictly only in my high tunnel. Versus in the summer, I use all three spaces. I have a space behind my house. I have an in-ground garden, and then I also have a tunnel. So for the fall and winter, I only use the tunnel. So that is the disclaimer. That is the caveat. If you are in my zone in zone 7, what I'm talking about today and the stuff that you can grow and what I say that I'm growing, you can grow too. And most of you, if you're in 7, 8, 6, even some things in 9, you can still grow. But just know that if it seems like my timing may be off from yours, or and it's not off today, but if you see me starting seeds 30 days from now, you may be thinking, well, she's late or whatever. Not really. So let's first talk about how I go through and think about what I'm going to grow for the fall. So let me show you the first step that I did. I'm going to kind of it's almost like I'm just dumping you into my brain so that you can see how I plan what I'm going to plant and where it's going to go. So the first thing is I identify what is it that I am going to plant. So let's go to the table. I have my list. Let's go through the stuff that I'm personally planting for my fall and winter garden. One other caveat. Now, the last time I was in my sunroom and I did a video, I had many of you comment that my dog Lexi was in one of my raised beds. Now, how she was in my bed while I was doing a video and I didn't know, I don't know. I must have been facing like that way. She's not back here because she didn't hear me come into the sunroom. But I was gonna say, if y'all see her, let me know. But obviously, if you see her, it's over and done by the time you see this video. But that dog of mine, I'm telling you, for those that are new, Lexi is our new puppy. She's 10 months old and she is all puppy. So she's still trying to learn her boundaries. Yeah, that's all I'll say about her. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm growing for the fall. So that is step number one, is I decide what I'm going to grow. That's exactly what you should be doing too, is what are you going to grow? Let me back up. Step one is I identified where I'm going to grow. So next, I know that I'm growing just in my high tunnel. So that's my parameters, or my, boundary, so to speak. So then I developed my list of what I was going to grow based on what I like, what I want to grow, anything new I wanted to try, all that good stuff. So as I'm looking through my list, there is nothing new on my list that I have not done before. Okay, so there was not anything. Now I am trying some new varieties and I'll go through and I'll talk about those, but there's nothing new on my list that I'm going to do. So number one, if you're doing a fall garden, one of the first things that should be on your list is garlic. Everybody, and look, if you're not doing a fall garden, make an exception and do garlic. If that's the only thing that you do, if you got some space, you got a bed, you got a pot, get you some garlic. So I want to remind you to go ahead and get your garlic seed orders in now if you are ordering seed garlic. The company I use is Mad River Garlic, Keen Garlic, and then also Epic Gardening. I'm going to put, I have a code for Epic Gardening. They're doing garlic, I think for the first time this year. And so I'm ordering from them too. I'll put a code down for Epic Gardening in the description. Okay, so as I look through the list, there is nothing new on my list that I haven't done before, but there is stuff on my list that I have not been successful at. I'm going to try again. So let's quickly go through. I take that back. There is one new thing on my list that I'm going to try, but I'm going to need your help because I've never done it before. I don't even know where to start. And yes, I can do a lot of research and I will do some research, but you know, when I got, I don't know, some 8,000 of y'all, I ask y'all because some of y'all have already done this and I haven't, right? When I get there, I'll let you know. Okay, so there are y'all, there's 2 new things on here I'm doing. As I'm looking through my list, I'm like, girl, you are doing something new. 2 new things. I'm going to tell you what they are. Okay, so there's 14 vegetable crops that I'm growing in the fall. And so kale is one. I've grown kale before, never had any issue, very successful with kale. I've kind of honed in, and I say honed in, not like it's final, like I won't ever do anything different, but winter boar from Johnny Seeds, I like that variety. It performs well, and it's a curly kale. Now I usually do a mixture of like a curly kale. I've done Siberian, I've done Red Russian, I've done Dino kale, but my preference in terms of look, ease, eating, productivity, it is a curly kale. So for this season, I'm going to do a new variety that is red boar, which is a red kale, which is like the cousin to winter boar. So that is a new variety. So I'll be doing kale. I just saw something else new on my list. It's like 2A. Okay, but 2 is lettuce. Done lettuce before. I'm doing many different varieties, but I'm going to try something different, which I'm going to try arugula. Now, y'all know, if you don't know, you should. I don't like arugula because y'all know anything with that kick, that bite, like ginger. But y'all, I've been on the ginger. I put ginger in my juice. I'm like stepping up little bit by little bit on what I can tolerate and like. And I know that ginger is good for me, so that's why I have been prone to incorporating it into my diet, okay? Arugula, I haven't had arugula in a long time, but I just know that it used to taste, or does taste, spicy, peppery, and has that bite. I don't like that. But I'm just growing it to grow it, to see if I can, number one. And two, I think I will have customers that want it and like it. Three, I figure if I put it in a salad mix, maybe it'll mellow down that bite. But y'all give me some tips. Let me know if you have grown an arugula that is more mild than all that spicy, peppery stuff. Let me know. Put it in the comments below if you've had any luck, success, or if there's any tips around arugula. So I'm doing also cauliflower. And I'm doing way more cauliflower because I have not been very successful with cauliflower. So that's one that I'm trying again, and we're gonna hope for success. Broccoli, y'all know, your girl ain't brought home a broccoli floret. A broccoli floret has not made it in the house. Y'all, in 4 years, can your girl grow some broccoli? I love broccoli, so I'm gonna keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. So we're gonna try again with broccoli. I'm doing spinach. Another thing on spinach, if you're doing spinach really does better when you're starting seeds if you cold stratify it. What does that mean? If I have my spinach in the freezer, it's been in my freezer since the last time I grew spinach, earlier this year, like, January or whatever. I found for me that it germinates a lot quicker when it goes through cold stratification. So basically there are certain crops that if you put them in the freezer or the fridge and they are cold, when you take them out to plant them and start them as seeds, they break the dormancy through the cold stratification. So it goes from cold to warm, cold to hot, whatever, and it breaks the dormancy, and the seed is like, oh, it's summer, oh, it's warmer, oh, it's time for me to break out. And that's what it does. It germinates a lot quicker if you cold stratify it, i.e. put it in the freezer or put it in the fridge. Usually I would recommend a couple of weeks before you do the seeds, but longer than that is not gonna work. I mean, it's not going to hurt. But I wouldn't say if you're gonna try to plant your seeds tomorrow, trying to put them in the fridge tonight for cold stratification, that's not it. That's not it. But if you have time and you haven't done it, go ahead and pop them in and just do an experiment, right? You can do some in the freezer, and then you can also sow some seeds that are not in the freezer, and you see the difference for yourself and see what happens. But for me, I always cold stratify my spinach. So I'm doing spinach. My first 2 years of doing spinach, horrible. Could not get a leaf. Now, the past 2 years, I've had great success. Collards, y'all know I love collards. Always have success with that. I'm doing Brussels sprouts again. I did Brussels sprouts. It's been 2 years since I did Brussels sprouts. The first year I did Brussels sprouts, nothing, horrible. The second year, I had some. They were small, but I waited too late. Last year didn't even try. So I'm back on the Brussels sprouts train. I like Brussels sprouts, so I'm gonna try them again. I'm doing carrots. I'm doing bok choy. I'm doing cabbage. I'm also doing a red cabbage for the first time. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know why I said I wasn't doing no new stuff. I am doing new stuff. I'm doing red cabbage for the first time. One, because it's gonna give me some color in the garden and it's pretty. Two, I have never done it before. Three, I heard it's good for juicing, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm only gonna do a small amount. I'm gonna do bunching onions. I have not been successful with bunching onions. You got any tips? Put them below. And then I'm doing radishes, and I'm doing actually a new variety of radish. So that's gonna be new. The other thing that I'm doing new is I'm actually doing a fall crop of potatoes. I've never done potatoes in the fall. I will shoot a video when I do that, and I will show you and tell you all about that. And then for flowers, the other new thing is I want to do tulips. I want to overwinter tulips so that I will have them in the spring. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I know that I got to buy tulip bulbs, but is that it? Do I buy tulip bulbs and just put them in the dirt and that's it? And then they're going to come back. They're going to come in the spring. I don't know. But y'all, you know what? What I just went through about, I don't know. That's exactly how it was 4 years ago when I knelt down by these beds and pray and like, okay, Lord, I put the seed in the dirt. Now what? Like, how is this seed going to produce food? Y'all, has been producing food, major food. So it doesn't scare me that I don't know. Sometimes it can be overwhelming that I don't know, and I want to know because I have so much on my plate. And there are seasons in your life, and a season can be a week, it could be months. There are seasons when you feel like you have enough bandwidth to try something new and to kind of jump into it. And there's other seasons in your life where you don't feel like you have the bandwidth, right? Like last year, I'm like, I ain't planting no Brussels sprouts. Like, I don't even feel like going through all that. But this year, I'm like, I want some Brussels sprouts, right? So that's what I'm planting. What am I not planting that you can still plant in the fall? Beets. I'm not gonna say I'm done with the beets, but I'm not doing no beets this year. Y'all, I have not been successful with beets in 4 years, and I don't even like them. So therefore, I'm not growing them, okay? I'm not saying never, because I'll come back around, but it ain't on my list. I don't have the mental capacity. I don't have the mental desire to do no beets. And yes, I know that's incorrect English, to do any beets, okay? So beets are not on my list. Swiss chard is not on my list, but Swiss chard is certainly a vegetable that you can grow in the fall. I don't like Swiss chard. It tastes like earth, and so I don't grow it. Now, it's real pretty. Now, if you're new, you're like, why does she keep saying it's pretty in the garden? Because you'll find out if you follow me, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe in faith. Just go ahead. You're going to love it. For me, I love aesthetics. I love things that look nice. I love color in the garden. In the wintertime, it's hard to get color because most of the things are green, and the things that have color are underground. Beets, carrots, things like that. So that's why I'm doing the red cabbage. Swiss chard, I could grow for the beauty, but I might come back around to that one day. And maybe my customers will like it, but I don't like it. I've tried it. It don't taste good to me. And so I don't even want it in my house. So I'm not doing Swiss chard. Kohlrabi is one that you can do. I've never done kohlrabi. I've never even tasted kohlrabi. I have no idea what it's like, and right now I don't have a desire to try. But turnips, rutabagas, all that stuff, mustards, not on my list, but that's all stuff that's up for grabs in the fall, okay? So what I did was, this is my list. Y'all, I'm showing you like real life. I get me a sheet of paper, and I write down what I'm going to grow. And I always, when I'm thinking about my garden, I think about it in terms of vegetables, herbs, flowers, always. Vegetables, herbs. So I always have 3 categories. What are you growing, right? So that's what I'm growing. Then, once I figured out what I'm growing, then it's time to get to planting, right? And so I use a planning app called Seedtime. A lot of you may have heard of it. If you have not heard of Seedtime, go to the box in my description. It is completely free. They do have some levels where you can pay and get more stuff, but the initial, you can do it for free and get whatever you need. But Seedtime is a garden planning app. And so basically, and I've done other videos on it, but if you go to Seedtime, you'll see it. Go to the link in my description. Basically, I put in the crop that I want to do, and then it plots it out for me based on my zone, based on the season. It tells me when I need to start that crop, when I need to prep the beds for it, when I need to cultivate, when I need to transplant, and when I need to harvest. So Seedtime is a wonderful planning app. So I inputted all of my stuff into Seedtime. So it gave me a layout of when to start things, but there's also a task button within Seedtime where you can go in and print out your task. I'm gonna show you an example of what it looks like. So these are my tasks for the week. You can see, I don't know how clearly you can see, but you can see the date up at the top, July 28th to August the 3rd. And so every week I have a list of tasks to do based on what I told it I wanted to plant. Based on my zone. It's gonna tell me if you're in zone X, Y, and Z and you wanna plant carrots, this is when you should be getting them in the ground. So it takes all of the guesswork out of it for you. Now, Seedtime is a great app, but if you are a new gardener, this is my opinion. Learn what to do. Not gonna say first, learn what to do and be efficient. So learn what to do and you can use an app. But don't rely on an app as a crutch and you don't even understand, well, why did it tell me to do carrots on October 15th versus November the 5th? Know why it's telling you that, which means understand crops and the science of how to plant. I went through all of that in my workshop. I talked about days to maturity. I talked about how to figure it out, what to plant. So if seed time were to go away or your computer crashes, I need you to be able to know how to plant your garden, okay? All right. Okay, so I came up with my list. I went to Seedtime, told her what I was gonna plant. Seedtime gave me my to-do list. Next for me is I need to figure out where everything is going to go. This is a really important step that many gardeners miss. Now, many of you may not have the space that I have, so you don't have as many things to consider. But even if you have only 10 pots that you're gonna do on your patio or in or outside or whatever, or maybe you just have 3 raised beds, you still need to plan where things are going to go, okay? So what I call it is a crop plan. For me, it's really important that I am intentional about where things are gonna go. Now, I wanna walk you through my thought process of how I did this. One of the things that makes fall unique is because it's right up against the summer. And my summer stuff is still producing. And in the greenhouse where I'm gonna grow fall, it's gonna keep producing well into September. I will still have peppers and tomatoes in September if I let it keep going, right? Because it's under protected culture. Now my garden outside, it will start to die back, shut down, slow down by mid-September, somewhere along in there. But it doesn't matter about that because I'm not going to be planting anything out there after it, right? So there's no time sensitivity. But for my tunnel, that right now is packed with summer stuff, I have to think about, out of all of my spaces, which spaces are going to be up for grabs first? Which spaces can I plant first, right? Instead of me ripping everything out. So for example, if I have a bed that right now has flowers in it, my pollinator patch, that's a great example. I have a raised bed in my tunnel that's nothing but flowers. It is for pollinators to come into the garden, and it is for beauty. As much as I love beauty, I'm gonna always put food on a higher pedestal. Meaning, if I needed a bed to start my fall garden, I'm going to pull up the flowers before I pull up a row of tomatoes that are doing well and I still need tomatoes to preserve. Does that make sense? So that's what I mean about being intentional. So for me, when I design my crop plan, and I've shown this, if you've been here, I've shown you guys this before. I have sheets where I plan out my spaces. So this is a replica of what my greenhouse looks like. I have 6 raised beds, I have 2 circular beds, and then I have 5 rows that are 45 feet long, right? So what I thought about was, okay, first, where are things gonna go? You want to rotate your crops. You do not wanna plant the same thing in the same exact space every single year. So if you did a fall garden last year and you had cabbage in raised bed 1, and you be like, man, I do that cabbage in there every year. Don't do that. Move your cabbage to raised bed 3, okay? And put something else in raised bed 1. It's important to rotate your crops. Why? Because rotating, first of all, that crop has certain nutrients that are going to get into the soil that's going to be depleted. The soil is going to be depleted by whatever nutrient that is from that crop. And so if you continue to plant the same crop over and over, it is not getting I shouldn't say it's not getting new nutrients. The nutrients are depleted, but also it encourages pests, right? Because it's in the same place every single time. I feel like I'm not explaining the best way, but that is the best way I know how to explain it in a short video. But the point is, rotate your crops. Don't put it in the same place every year. Now, sometimes that is not possible, feasible, not best. So I'm telling you what is ideal. Have I planted something in the same place twice? Yes, I have. One example of that is my watermelon patch in my outside garden. For the last 2 years, it's been in the same exact spot. And probably next year it's going to be in the same exact spot. Why? Because the watermelon spacing that I have set up is different than any other spacing in my garden. And so that is the best and only place it can go for the spacing that it needs. And so it's not worth it to me to uproot my whole garden and try to figure and lay all that paper all over again and do all that. It ain't worth it right now. Not saying I never will. I'm just saying I haven't. Okay? So even though I'm giving you the ideal, I do realize that sometimes ideal is not what you can do. But if you can do it, rotate your crops. So when I thought about my crop plan, I thought about, oh, what was in that bed last year? That's why it's important to do a crop plan. So that you have a repository and not just relying on your brain. Now, I'm pretty good about remembering where stuff is, but I always have it written down. So that's how I came up with my crop plan. It's based on what was I growing, what did I grow in that space last year, and so, okay, how do I want to rotate it? Then I also thought about what beds are going to be open in what order. What spaces are going to be open, or what spaces am I going to be willing to take out first versus later. So for example, carrots, I put on my crop plan in the bed that has all the flowers and the pollinators, right? Because carrots are direct seeded, so I'm not going to start them and then transplant them. So I can direct seed my carrots really in the next couple of weeks, right? So let's just say in 2 weeks, I want to direct seed carrots. They got to have a place to go. Right now, my greenhouse is full of food. So in 2 weeks, if I want to direct sow carrots, I got to choose a place that is going to be least harmful to what I have going on. So it would be the flowers first, y'all. Makes sense. So that's why I put the carrots in that spot specifically. Then I thought, what is the next bed that I'm going to be willing to uproot, part with, whatever the case may be. So the next bed that I would be willing to do is the bed right beside it, which is this bed. If you're walking into my tunnel, it's the second bed on the left, which is represented by this one here. And so I am putting lettuce, radishes, and arugula in that bed. Now again, lettuce, because if I start lettuce today, it'll be ready to transplant in 3 weeks, right? So I know in 3 weeks, I'm gonna have something that needs to go somewhere. What's the next spot? It's gonna be that bed, because what's in that bed right now? I had a whole big, half of the bed was celery. I have pulled the celery out already because the celery has gone to seed. It got too hot. So I know I at least have that space right there. Then the rest of the bed is basil and some echinacea. Then I think that's it. Well, the basil, some of it is going to seed, so I can part with that because I already have new basil to plant somewhere else. So do you see the thought process? And I won't go through the whole, but that's exactly what I did, y'all. I knew that the very last thing that I'm going to be willing to part with are probably peppers. Like my tomatoes are on the slowdown, but right now, I mean, if it keeps going the way it is, I'm going to have enough tomatoes in my freezer. My freezer is already up to the limit, already, with stuff from the garden, produce. I probably need to mirror what I had last year. I think I had 10 bags, 10 gallon size bags of tomatoes last year. And that was enough for spaghetti sauce. Like I think I have 2 more jars of spaghetti sauce. Then I think I already have at least 7 bags of tomatoes in my freezer. And that's, again, I have sold a ton. I have given away a ton of tomatoes. A ton. Somebody did something to help us out on something. I gave them a whole box of tomatoes to can. And then my husband actually is delivering a box of tomatoes to can for one of our friends' parents who is elderly. She can't garden anymore, and she asked me for some tomatoes to can to buy. And I'm like, absolutely not. As much as you've done for us. And so anyway, my point is, I've had so many tomatoes. All I need is really one more good run, and I'll have my 10 in the freezer. My point is, I would be willing to pull up my tomatoes probably before the peppers. Now I got enough peppers too. I have a lot of peppers, but the peppers are an easy sale. People can use them, and for me, it's easier to preserve the peppers than tomatoes. Anyway, so that's kind of my thought process. I hope that that makes sense. If that makes sense, put it down below. If I confused you, I'm sorry. But that's basically how my brain has worked to come up with this crop plan. So now I can be ready to start my seeds. And so most of my seeds, I have all of my fall seeds like here in this thing here. Then of course I've ordered some seeds, of course. That's what we do, right? And then I got one more package of seeds coming. Should be here in a couple of days. So we are good to go. We are good to go. I know where I'm growing. I know what I'm growing. And I know when and where it's going to be. That is essentially, to me, how you develop a good crop plan, whether it's fall, summer, spring, winter, whatever it is. So y'all, I'm excited. I am excited. It has been a great summer season. And summer's not over, so I don't want to act like we're saying goodbye to summer, but we are in transition, at least definitely in my zone. It is, August is going to be hot, just like it was in July. And so summer is definitely not over, but this is the time to start thinking about fall when it's hot. Not when it's cool and you're like, oh, the leaves then fell down. Let me put some, no, that's not the time to start thinking about your fall garden. You got to think about your fall garden now. So I hope that this helps you to think about, and maybe if you were on the fence about having a fall garden, I hope that I pushed you over the edge, and maybe you'll do it. If nothing else, get you some garlic. Get you some garlic. Put you some garlic. If you want to have your feet up this this fall and winter, that's fine. Get your garlic in the ground, prop your feet up, and then we'll meet you back here in December when you're ready to start seeds. Not start seeds. Look through the seed catalogs, right? I get it that some people's like, I don't want to do the fall. I'm tired. I understand. I completely understand. But for those of us who are doing fall gardens and we're going to keep going, I hope that this gave you some insight, some tips, and some tricks on how to approach it and how to think about it. Like I said, if you want more information and you want to take advantage of the workshop that I did, then the link will be in the description. You can go and grab the replay and the workbook. Let me know if there are any questions at all about anything that I said. If there's some other fall stuff that you're growing that I didn't mention, let me know. But y'all, I'm excited. I am excited about the fall. Fall to me it's a nice breather after the summer. Y'all don't know, I call it the summer press. Summer is hard. It's rewarding, but it's hard. It is hard work, especially when you're growing in big spaces like we are growing. It's hard work. And some of you have even bigger spaces than me. In the fall, it's like you're able to just take a breath. It's not nearly as busy. It's not nearly as intense. And you're not dealing with all of the pests and the disease as much as you do in the summertime. So I always tell people that if you're a new gardener, definitely try the fall. You will, if nothing else, so that you can see the difference between fall and summer. But anyway, thank you guys so much for meeting me in my sunroom. I hope that Lexi was in my beds. And I think on the video, the bed that she was in was actually the one that don't have anything in. Well, she was in, the first one she was in didn't have anything in it. Then she jumped into another one that did have something in it. Anyway, I hope she ain't been back there. Because, let's just say I hope she ain't been back there. Let's just keep it at that. But anyway, I hope that your gardens are going so well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be abreast of everything that's going on in the community. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.